It's a sensational evening in Edmonton. 26 degrees, not much wind, and clear skies. Not 2 weeks ago, it was snowing here, but it couldn't be nicer this evening. And Eskimo fans are hoping their team's fortunes will reverse as the weather has. It's the Edmonton Eskimos and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers coming up in about a half hour's time here on TSN. Coming up next, live from Commonwealth Stadium, it's the CFL Report. The CFL Report on TSN is brought to you by Pepsi. Gotta have it. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Commonwealth Stadium and this week's edition of the CFL Report. I'm Gord Miller. Also coming up in this half hour, the insider looks at the splendor of the grass and how players love playing on natural surfaces. And, of course, we'll have our TSN CFL Plays of the Week. The Eskimos and the Bombers should be a great matchup tonight, and there are some lineup changes to tell you about. The significant one comes from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Matt Dunnigan, after 2 games on the shelf, returns to face his former team. The 10-year veteran will try to get this Winnipeg offense kick-started. For the Eskimos, there is a significant change as well. Former Calgary Stampeder and BC Lion Jay Christensen will start at slot back. Chris Armstrong, who had a problem with dropping the football, was released. He is now on the practice roster of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Well, in Edmonton, there is concern about the football team. The Eskimos have lost 4 of their last 5. That includes 3 straight losses at home. And a lot of the concern centers on quarterback Tracy Ham. Why isn't he running the ball more?
Well, that's one of those questions that you can never give the right answer. If I run, I'm running too much. And if I don't run, I'm not running enough.
It is a question Tracy Ham has faced ever since coming to the Eskimos almost 6 years ago. But it's running with the ball that has always been an integral part of his game. He's had 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons rushing, first CFL quarterback to ever hit that number in 1 year. And last season he rushed for 998 yards.
I see the benefits that it has in that it not only helps us offensively, but it really helps him and his game.
But this year has been different. After 12 games last year, Ham had rushed for 754 yards and an average of 9.3 yards per carry. Well, after the first 12 games this season, Ham has carried the ball for only 479 yards, averaging 6.4 yards per carry. He's 275 yards off last year's pace.
You know, we like him to run, and he likes to run, and the only reason he wouldn't be doing it is probably because of some nagging injuries.
As the season progresses, you tend to get nicks and little nagging injuries, but you continue to play, and some part of the game has to shut down because you're trying to compensate.
But is it more than nagging injuries which have curtailed his running game, or is it part of a quarterback's mentality which says throwing the ball means you're a better quarterback? Or is the opposition dictating what decision Ham makes?
Frankly, the last couple of weeks, I just haven't had any running lanes to run in.
There's been a number of opportunities when he has the green light to take it, and he hasn't done it, and I think that it's beginning to show some effects.
The effects of Ham not running the ball could be directly translated into the Eskimos' win-loss column, because when Ham elects to carry the ball himself, it gives the opposition defense more to worry about, which makes the Eskimos' offense in general more effective.
I do think that he's going to have to run a little more.
Because what that really does is that it helps take a lot of pressure off both of the rush as well as help us in the running game.
I think a successful quarterback is a quarterback who wins football games and not what his numbers are. You know, you'll find guys who throw for 4,000 and 5,000 yards each year, but they don't win many ball games. And I think wins and losses determine what type of quarterback you are.
And with us now is Edmonton Eskimo General Manager Hugh Campbell. Tracy Ham said quarterbacks are judged by whether or not they win or lose, and right now there have been more losses lately than wins. We hear in Edmonton talk about a difference in offensive philosophy between Ron Lancaster and Tracy Ham. Have you talked to them about that?
No, I don't know that there is a difference or not. Whether philosophy, there might be a difference in opinion, you know, as to whether one plays open or another. But if there wasn't, that would be abnormal, because you know, there's always as many opinions as there are people.
Doesn't concern you?
Them having a difference of opinion over that? No, I think that I've watched them work together in practice. They work very, very well together, and they both, you know, they smile when they talk to one another, and they're on very good terms that way.
Would you like to see Tracy Ham running the football more?
Well, I think that he, I don't want him to run if he doesn't see a place to run. I don't want him to just run because, okay, they told me to run, and run and not have it do well, but it's been his past performance. He's played his best football when he does take off and run once in a while. And if he's banged up or something and doesn't elect to run or whatever reason, we sometimes can squeeze out a win and sometimes we can't. But we're not quite as good a team when he doesn't run. And most games he does run, it doesn't come up. But there was some talk here. I didn't have the benefit of hearing everything that was on the air before this or any of it, but there has been talk in Edmonton that of him not running the last couple of games when he had the bad leg.
There is a difference of opinion among a lot of CFL teams about whether or not quarterbacks should call their own plays. So when you were here as the head coach, you let your quarterbacks by and large call their own plays. Do you like that situation, or would you like to see plays sent in?
I think that it depends on the person. I mean, the coaches are the ones that are trained and know what to call. So I definitely want the coaches to call them. But if they can teach the quarterback enough that he can call what the coach would have called, then that saves you some time, because with only 20 seconds between plays, everything happens fast. But I sure wouldn't want the quarterback calling plays just out of the hat, you know, what he thought would work or what the right tackle or somebody told him would work. I'd like him to call just what the coaches would call if they were out there themselves.
Hugh, let me ask you this. The $64,000 question in Edmonton is, what have the Eskimos been doing wrong the last few weeks? What has gone wrong, and what do you have to do tonight to turn this thing around?
Well, my theory might be different than everyone else's. Again, I think everybody has a different opinion about most anything. But I think that there's been so much movement of players within the league and all that, that no one fears any other team anymore. You go anywhere and you might win. We have the best road record we've had in 10 years, and we have the worst home record we've had in 10 years. So I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, we've got the right number of wins, we just have them in the wrong places. I mean, if you were the czar of the league, what you'd like is everybody to win their home games and lose their road games, so you keep all the fans coming back. But with us, it's been reversed.
Hugh, thanks very much, and good luck to your football team tonight.
Thanks a lot.
Hugh Campbell, the man who helped create much of the mystique that surrounds this building, our guest here on the CFL Report. For more, here are John Wells and Leif Pedersen.
All right, Gord, so what do you think, Leif? Does that dispel all the talk of a quarterbacking controversy here in Edmonton?
I think one of the things that has happened between Tracy Ham and Ron Lancaster is the fact that maybe, as Ronnie has said, you know, if I were the quarterback of this team, I might do things a little differently, because when he played, obviously, he handed off to George Reed and he passed the ball a lot. He did not run. So I think from a personal standpoint, if he were the quarterback right now in Edmonton, that's what he would do. So maybe some people misinterpret that as a controversy. I don't think there is a controversy. I know for a fact it's simple. He would like to see Tracy Ham run more. They are a better team when he runs more. Everybody has said that. That is not earth-shattering. You know, Tracy Ham's on a pace right now to only get about 700 yards in rushing, and that's not good enough for this offense.
I think the expectations in this city are awfully high after all the success the Edmonton Eskimos have had through the years, and three straight losses at Commonwealth Stadium. It really makes headlines.
Well, year after year, I mean, they have a tough act to follow, and it's tough in a city that wins all the time. You know, we've seen that before with the Oilers get down, or here with the Eskimos get down. So, you know, a loss or two at home compounds things even worse. I think Hugh Campbell made a great point. We win on the road and lose at home. At least if you're going to have around a 500 record, you'd rather do it the other way. At least you take a little bit of the heat's off.
Yeah, you're right about that. There's a lot of places in Canadian football that don't think this is much of a crisis at all, folks. Gord?
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that would love to be in this position, John. When the CFL Report continues, the insider looks at the splendor of the grass here at Commonwealth Stadium. We'll be right back to Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton in just a few moments. Welcome back to Commonwealth Stadium and the CFL Report. This is, of course, the stadium that has the last grass field in the Canadian Football League. The players here feel that it's helped extend their careers, fewer injuries. So when the Edmonton Eskimos are concerned, it's like the old song says, it's good to touch the green, green grass of home.
Edmonton, Alberta. It's called the City of Champions, and with good reason. Over the last 15 years, no other city has enjoyed more championships. Since 1978, the Eskimos have won 6 Grey Cups. And since 1984, the Oilers have captured 5 Stanley Cups. In fact, between 1978 and 1988, the Eskimos and Oilers won 9 championships, a remarkable record when you compare that to Vancouver's 1 title over the same period. While the Oilers' success was clearly due to the presence of stars like Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier and the shrewd management of Glenn Sather, the reasons behind the Eskimos' victories are a little more complex. Sure, they've had stars like Warren Moon, and the team has benefited from the strategies of head coach turned general manager Hugh Campbell. But the green and gold has also made the most of its home field advantage. They've always played at least half of their games on a grass surface.
I like grass better too. I mean, you just don't get as sore. It saves your whole body. I bet you a lot of guys of Edmonton have played like, have added extra years to their career just because they've been playing half their games on grass.
In 1988, Winnipeg Stadium was converted from grass to synthetic turf, leaving the Eskimos as the only CFL team which played all its home games on a grass surface. Since then, the Eskimos have not won the Grey Cup, but they have had far and away the best regular season record, 10 games superior to the next best, Calgary. Of course, talents like quarterback Tracy Ham and linebacker Danny Bass have had a little to do with the great record. But if you ask the players, the Commonwealth grass is a factor as well.
Anytime we go somewhere and play here in the CFL, we're the only team, of course, that has a natural grass. All the other guys say, man, I can't wait to get to Edmonton just to play on the grass.
Players prefer grass to turf because it's easier on their bodies.
If you get an opportunity to practice on a grass field, 3-4 days a week, instead of having to be on that turf all the time, that makes a big difference. I think there are far more injuries on a turf field. I have no way of substantiating that, and I could in fact be wrong. But I know the way I feel when I come off of a turf game, and I know how sore my body is. And I've also had some ankle injuries that I've had on turf fields.
The Eskimos players would appear to sustain less wear and tear on their bodies, since 9 of the regular season games are on grass, while the rest of the league plays an average of just 1.
When I become commissioned, all the fields would be grass. You can bet that. That's if I ever come, so you know that'll never be. They all still be turf then.
Unfortunately, we can't prove that playing on a grass field makes the Eskimos a healthier and ultimately better team. But what we can say is the Eskimo players think they're better off, and that in itself gives them an edge over the rest of the league.
And joining us now on the CFL Report is Winnipeg running back Michael Richardson. When's the last time you played a regular season game on grass?
It's probably about 2 years ago, December 90 in the Independence Bowl at Louisiana Tech.
Now, do you like playing on this stuff?
Definitely. It enables me to be more natural with my movements. I'm kind of scared to play on turf. I'm glad to be on grass again,
It's tough, I guess, when you play 90% of your games on turf then. How do you adjust to it when you come here? You haven't played on it so long.
I haven't adjusted yet. I just have to keep playing. It takes away from my game, but I just have to just go out and play and don't think about it.
Now, natural or artificial CFL fields are wide and long. How have you made the adjustment to the CFL game so far?
Oh, no, I'm still trying to make the adjustments here. The field's a little wider, 15 yards wider, and it gives me more room to work, but I can't really think about that. I just have to go out and just take what they give me, and eventually, hopefully, I'll pop one every once in a while.
You've had a pretty good season so far. Are you surprised by your own success?
No, not really. I know I had it in me. I just hoping the coaches saw it sometime soon,
Well, Michael, thanks very much for talking to us, and good luck out here on the natural surface.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Michael Richardson, running back for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who hopes to run wild on the grass tonight. And to talk more about the game, here are John Wells and Leif Pedersen.
All right, Leif, what kind of an adjustment does Michael Richardson have to make, not having played on a grass field for 2 years?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just to have the right footwear so he makes the good cuts and he doesn't slip and fall down. But I remember coming into Edmonton. I used to love it because it's a nice soft landing.
How does the Eskimo defense stack up against the run? Because Richardson had such an outstanding week last week, 193 yards against Calgary.
He really had a great week last week, and you would think that they'd want to come out doing exactly the same thing, running the football. You know, in our conversation with Irvin Bowman this morning, he said he thinks it's easier to throw against Edmonton than to run against him. And as we've seen in the past few weeks, the Edmonton front three do a lot of slanting and stunting to try and foul up blocking schemes and then let the great linebackers like Willie Pless and Larry Ruck make the tackles. So they are a difficult team, even for a good rushing team like Winnipeg, to run against.
All right, Gord.
All right, thanks very much, guys. And just a note, fellas, sideline guys love natural grass, too. It's a lot easier on our feet. Coming up next on the CFL Report, the Larry Willis situation. Strangeness in Winnipeg when we return. You are looking live at Commonwealth Stadium. It's a long hike up to those seats, but the fans are getting set to watch the Eskimos take on the Bombers. Kickoff about 15 minutes away. There's been lots going on in Winnipeg this week in a league that always seems to throw you a curveball. The CFL has a new one. Larry Willis suspended for allegedly giving the team's plays to the Calgary Stampeders. Lisa Bowes has more.
It is front page news in Manitoba. The man in question refuses to talk on camera. He is waiting for legal advice. The Bombers refuse to discuss the nature of the charges.
I'm not going to make any comment as far as what the contents of our application is or the circumstances surrounding what we're doing.
League Commissioner Larry Smith is analyzing the application for Willis's suspension. He has set a hearing for next Tuesday.
He will be paid, of course, as a regular team member during this period. And, of course, we want to show him our good faith in the fact that we're going to have a fair inquiry and try to handle it in a very professional way.
In a phone conversation, Larry Willis told me that he had asked for his release on a number of occasions. He says these allegations reflect the club's wishes to unload his salary. Willis says they have victimized his character.
I mean, to make a statement like that, there has to be good verification or good proof of it, because it, affects a player's credibility and his, his integrity.
There would be no real reason why for him to give somebody that information for the simple fact that, I mean, everybody in the league has tapes on us, too, in the same aspect. So I really don't understand what could be, why this is brought up.
Always interesting things happening here at the Bombers.
I'll tell you this, I thought last year with Tyrone and the things happened last season were probably, top of the cake. But this year, I tell you, it's something else.
Lisa Bowes, TSN, Winnipeg.
Yeah, Michael Gray has it right. It is always interesting. We talked to the Bombers today about the Larry Willis situation. They said they would have no comment about it until the commissioner makes his ruling, and then they will release a statement. They obviously don't want to talk about it right now, but it's been a topic of conversation throughout Winnipeg. The CFL Report returns in a moment.
Rocket Fuel.
Play Rocket Fuel Touchdown, and you could win up to $25,000.
Bright lights, big city. We're in Edmonton at Commonwealth Stadium, where we'll see the Eskimos take on the Bombers in a few minutes. Well, it's number 18 on my lineup, but it's number 1 in our hearts. There can be only one thing for this week's edition of the CFL Plays of the Week. While the weather outside is frightful, the plays of the week are delightful, especially from the defense. Hamilton threatening at the Edmonton goal line until Stephon Jordan picks it up and goes 82 yards the other way. Eric Mitchell, if at first he doesn't succeed, he tries again and gets big yards. Eddie Brown with the nice squeeze for this great touchdown catch for the Argos. Jeff Fairholm avoids the Eddie Berry, Dave Van Bellingham sandwich and goes for the touchdown. $1 million catch by the Rocket. And can we call this a $4 million touchdown? The Rocket finally lifts off, which causes his teammates to finally have something to dance about. Jim Sandusky with perhaps the play of the year, taking this one off Corus Irvin's back. Hey, careful, buddy. It's duck hunting season. You better be careful. And so should the referees, who might need a helmet. Of course, a helmet's not much good if you don't do up the chin strap. Right, Sammy Garza? Kent Austin had his chin strap buckled. Good thing, too. He got rocked by Antoine Worthman. The hit of the week comes from a kicker. A kicker? Sean Fleming against the Hamilton Tiger Cat. Winnipeg's Bob Cameron tries to get into the act. But, Bob, it's been a long time since you were a quarterback at Acadia. The cheap shot of the week, Stacey Hairston with the elbow sandwich to the Rocket. Hey, how do you block a guy when you're only 5'6"? Mike Clemens, you go for the ankles. The kick of the week, Tony Martino, who, well, he didn't quite get all of this one. The lame duck of the week, Doug Flutie. Quack, quack. But hey, it's complete. The worst play of the week, Edmonton's Michael Souls, who misses the direct snap, then throws the bad pass to Richard Nurse, and then misses the tackle on him. Well, Michael, other than that, we thought it was a pretty good play. Well, Michael Souls probably didn't think that was as entertaining as we did, but we think at halftime the entertainers will bring a smile to your face. Coming up, Willie Pless of the Eskimos with some smooth sounds, and the Air Patrol with a change in midstream. You won't want to miss it. Your host is Daryl K. Smith, and you'll have a chance throughout the football game to vote on who you think is the most entertaining. Well, in BC, they vote hands down for John Volpe, last year's CFL Rookie of the Year. The man from Stanford is well known on the football field, but David Pratt has more on John Volpe behind the scenes.
For a man who makes his living in front of cheering fans, John Volpe is a very quiet and private man. A man who is almost uncomfortable when asked to share his thoughts on the personal side of John Volpe.
Competitive, at the same time easygoing, caring, just down to earth, and just really more relaxed than stressful, I think.
Volpe and his fiancée, Heather, are expected to get married shortly after the season. Family and home life are central to both.
Here's our grapes. They're going to go on to lunch. And usually I have a little iced tea with ice in my iced tea. I met Heather a couple years ago, and we've got engaged recently, and you know, we're ready to settle down and everything. It's beneficial in some ways with football. You know, a lot of people might think that, oh, getting engaged might slow me down in football, but it actually stabilizes your life a little bit more, and lets you concentrate more on football than on out chasing other things.
The other great love of Volpe's life is golf. And unlike football, this is a sport the two can share together, while at the same time it gives Volpe a much-needed release away from football.
It's a kind of a stress relief. For me, anyways, it is. For others, you might get stressed out on it, but I just have fun with it. I'm not doing it for, you know, profession, obviously, or anything else. It's just something for me to have fun with.
John Volpe, the football player, has a reputation as a tough and fierce competitor. But there are some who also know the other side. David Pratt, TSN, Vancouver.
#1 in rushing, #1 in touchdowns, #1 in her heart. Is he the best running back in Canadian football right now?
I don't think there's any question about it. As far as running with the football, he is #1. He's tough. That low center of gravity is so difficult to bring down and hit hard. And I think the fact that he kind of sneaks in behind big guys like Jim Mills and Leo Groenwagen and the other fellows on that offensive line, he's the best one so far.
Quick assessment of Michael Richardson, who we'll see here tonight for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers after a great week last week.
You know, I watched that game at home. They won against Calgary last week, and he was simply sensational. And boy, it makes Urban Bowman and the rest of the management look good. They let Robert Mims go. They had Michael Richardson ready to roll, and he certainly did. And I am really looking forward to see how he plays against a pretty tough Edmonton defense
So
tonight.
we'll see how Michael Richardson rolls against the Eskimos here at Commonwealth. Gord.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. And the Eskimos will be without their big man, Blake Marshall. And do they ever miss him? Since Marshall was hurt, the Eskimos have not won, and that precipitated their 3-game losing streak in their own stadium. It's the Eskimos and the Bombers coming up here. Edmonton trying to snap a string of 4 losses in 5 games, while the Bombers are trying to kickstart their offense, and they'll do that with Matt Dunnigan back in the lineup. Dunnigan looking forward to an opportunity to play in this stadium where he got his CFL start. The game's coming up in a few minutes. Check local listings because blackouts are in effect. It's the game of the week. The Eskimos and the Bombers coming up here on TSN. The CFL Report on TSN has been brought to you by Pepsi. Gotta have it.